Thank you for the recommendation, man. I want to prepare to allow this message to come through as well as possible. Let's connect with those souls who are coming in today and intend to give all there is to give to these people coming in. Let me to know them individually on a one-on-one basis so I can connect with their souls, connect with their full connected selves. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Here we go. So let's get directly into teaching today. I'm grateful to be doing this because it just so happened to be Sunday. And when I was younger, I would go to church every Sunday because my mom made me go to church. While I was in the back of the church, I didn't understand what the pastor was saying. Not all the time, but I did catch the wisdom from time to time. But while I was sitting in the church pews on the right side at this big church of 1,000 people plus, and I'm looking at the pastor on the stage at his podium speaking, I just remember wisdom coming out of his mouth at times. And then it was other times when, although there was wisdom coming out of his mouth, there was a deeper level. And I knew it was a deeper level. And I craved for that deeper level. So I went deep. I went to Revelations, read the book of Revelations. Anybody ever read the book of Revelations? Anybody read the book of Revelations? Here's the truth. You know in your spirit who is called and who is not. And those who are called are only called by the Spirit in them, and the Spirit doeth the works. And that is the only way the message of the real divine is ever heard. No matter who is speaking, it is always the Spirit through that man that is speaking, or that woman that is speaking. So here's how it really works. Here is Christ. Christ is known as the Messiah. And then imagine that there's a curtain between Christ, the Messiah, and you. Now, imagine that these are two parts to one thing. This is your inside, and this is your outside. So this is the real you. If you can understand this, everything else in the Bible starts to make sense. Everything else in the Bible can make sense after you understand this basic. And the basic is Christ is your inside. It's who you are. You, who you think you are now, is an outside representation or manifestation of Christ. Now, here's the deal. In the flesh, which is where you think you are, you have what's called sin in the Bible. This is a sinful vessel. What does sin mean? Sin just equals missing the mark. This can be interpreted in a lot of ways depending on your awareness. But what missing the mark is simply not being accurate in who you are. You are Christ. What is Christ? Christ is the perfect spirit in you. You have perfect spirit and perfect form in you. This is the perfect spirit and perfect form. I'm actually going to write that in blank. Oh, I don't even know where any of my blank. Oh, here they are. Here they are. So inside is perfect form and the perfect spirit. And spirit gives more life. So this is who you really are. This is the real you. And then this is the false you. This is the fake you. So we can put fake up here so you can know which one is which. It's the fake one. So you are not the sinful nature. You are the perfect form and perfect spirit. But you live in a physical body made up of flesh, which is a disciple of sin. So that's the reason why in these bodies you are tempted to do the wrong things, because simply you are thinking the wrong way. That's actually why you are doing the wrong things. It's because you're thinking in the wrong way. Okay? Israel. It's so many layered interpretations I've seen from that. I have no idea what the exact meaning might be. But the point of the Bible, and talking about the Bible, if you go read this book and you'll read it as a mystic does, this is the thing to understand. You have never been the outside vessel that carries and is a conduit to spirit. This vessel has a brain. This vessel has a physical brain. This vessel has a physical heart. These are electromagnetic conductors and electromagnetic producers and conductors for spirit, for who you really are. So what's happening is you are bringing and revealing the light by putting it to the greatest point of contraction or missing the mark. It's the greatest miss. It's the greatest miss and the greatest make. So this is the perfection. But the perfection can't be expressed in the physical world unless it is expressed through an individual. Yes, you are the spirit. You are the animating force. That's who you really are. So the mistake that's made when teaching the Bible is not really a mistake. So the Bible's written so the people who have not had the experience of knowing this is who they are by direct experience must live in sin. So those who don't, quote, know Christ are only those people who don't know who they truly are. That's it. The person who knows who they truly are by direct experience, which is perfect form and perfect spirit and perfect light, if you know yourself directly to be this, you know Christ. In the Bible, it says Christ will be like you when you find him. That's what it means. It doesn't mean he's going to physically look like you. So it's some people called Hebrew Israelites out there. Anybody heard of Hebrew Israelites? The people in purple, they stand on the corner and they announce that they own Israel because they are black and of black descent. Okay? This is, and we'll talk about people who are in Christ still sin. We'll talk about that. But those people believe that they are the chosen ones. They believe that because their physical outside sinful body is black, that they own Israel. This is a delusion. This is a delusion. This is the fake you. It's outside. Why do people in Christ still sin? That's the question. Let's answer that question. People who are in Christ are still in physical bodies. So you have a dual influence. You have an influence of the flesh and you have an influence of the spirit. So while still in the physical body, if the body's not purified from the wrong thinking, because it's really a mind, you can say it's a mind that connects these two. Okay, so in that mind, you still have junk in that comes from the body in there, although you are in there, Christ consciousness. Although you're in there, this is Christ is in there. Also, what's also in there is the thoughts that come from the black spots of thought that come from the body. So you have both in there. But the goal is this. You have to emphasize who you know yourself to be, and then it will dissolve and transmute the black spots. This is called correcting. So this is what we're here to do. Jesus, which is not Jesus, but Christ. You are, if you want to say Jesus, is really you. You will put your name and then Christ. This is who you really are. You are perfect form, your perfect spirit. There's this barrier between that blocks you from remembering who you are. although you are still one. And the barrier is really the physical five senses in the body. It's this curtain. It makes you believe you are the outside fake person, the artificial person, who is made of sin and is missing the mark. You are not the one who's missing the mark. You are the light that is in the body. Does that make sense? Light is who you are, and you are in the body. This is what the concept of Christ is. So how do you become saved? This is a Christian, to talk to Christians. How do you become saved? Okay? You become saved. Here's what's wrong with being human. I'll talk about just being human. Let's talk about just being human. Just being human to you or other people. You and many others. And you just put yourself where you lay, and I'm assuming here, we all have both natures. You have a nature with spots on it. You have a nature that's pure. Okay? You being human means you believe being human is the spots. You think that the spots make you human. You're a human. You are this. The reality is you are not your physical outside body. If you believe you are your outside body and you tell somebody just be human, it means just be depressed. It means just be halfway, be less than you can possibly be, make excuses. That's what it means to be human to most people, which is not what we're looking at, not what we're going for. Okay? That's that. Christ, which is who you are perfect form and you're perfect spirit, is who you really are. To come into the knowledge of this, you have to cross the bridge of your mind from this type of thinking over to the thinking that I am the light. And look, you may not understand in the very beginning, but you will. You will understand. This is who you are. It's I am. It's just being. This is where doing happens. You believe you are your doings. Does that make sense? This is how a mystic would see it. Now, if you got questions, let me know if you got questions. But for everybody, is everybody understanding this? Are you getting it? If you're not getting it, let me know. Okay. Keisha, you getting it? Y'all let me know if y'all getting this. I'm not just up here talking for no reason. Let me know what you understand, what you don't understand. And sometimes it may take me to explain it in some different ways, but we'll get there. Because what's true is true, and it's a way it's true, and everybody can understand. It's simple. So it's not like when something is true, you don't run away from the question. You ask the question. Have you always been a Christian? What is your definition of Christian? What's the difference between doing and am? So when you go, for instance, you hold the phone right now and you're watching a video. Are you the hand holding the phone? Are you the body watching using the eyes? Are you the eye movements? Are you your physical body's movements? Are you your body? The answer is you have a body that you're using, but you are not the body. Can you understand that? Can we agree on that? I'm going to wait for your response because I want to make sure we can agree on it before I go forward. Can we agree on that? Can we agree on that? Okay, we can agree on that. I wouldn't call this a belief. I am not believing anything here. So I want to be clear. I understand being a pagan. I understand a little bit about being a pagan, not much. But this is not a belief system I'm talking about. This is something that every single person experiences. It's just true. Ask yourself, are you your body? Here's the fact. Let's just look at reality. When you discard this body, when you die, the body wasn't you. If you've ever had a family member pass, their body was in the casket. Where were they? They obviously were not in there. So there's a difference between the body that is the vehicle and the one who is in it. Okay? So that's not a belief system. That's not a belief system. If you look at the body, the person's not there. And that's just, you see it. You knew they were there at one point, and then they weren't. You have no proof of anything else. Ask a question. Okay? Ask a question. So, yes, if you understand that, all we're saying is you are not this part and you are this part. That's not a belief system. It's not a belief system. Now, when you lean more into it, now, by the way, here's another thing that's interesting. This mind is where the confusion happens, but it's also the bridge in which clarity can happen. Okay? They are there where clarity, this is where clarity happens, but it's also where confusion happens. You want to bridge the gap between thinking this way to thinking this way, but it's not thinking. You have to pass through thinking into just being who you really are. But you have to know who you are not to get the contrast to know who you are. So, you know how, let me give an example. So, okay, that makes sense. So, I want to make sure everybody is understanding. So, ask what you mean. You ask them, what do I mean? What do I mean by what? You got to give me some clarity on exactly what you're confused about. So, but for everybody else who's following along, here we are. Your mind gets cluttered. It has both. So then the question is, how do you know which one is right and which one is wrong? How do you make the difference between this is right and this is wrong? And the answer is, you have to just try it out. When you try to take an action, here's the shortcut is, when you take the action, it won't feel aligned, or it will feel aligned. It may be hard and challenging, but you know this is the right direction for you. You get an intuitive sense of what's right and what's wrong. Okay? I know they come out. They're coming out. And usually they come out with this type of topic too. But also, those of you who are students, just speak up and ask questions that introduce the light, and it'll cloud out the darkness. People just troll when people of light are not speaking up. People who have light and really have questions, when they speak, trolls go away, or they just get ignored. They get so marginalized that those little sporadic in-betweens don't mean anything. So all it is you speak and asking questions. That's just what happens. When you introduce a light somewhere, then dark trolls come out. Why? Because it needs to attack the light to feel important. That's how these spots in the mind are. This is actually a battle in the Bible. They talk about good and evil, or flesh and spirit. Yeah. So this is just a split between who you really are and the fake you. So the fake you is this body and this outside. It's your physical body and what you think you do. And then the real you is just perfect form and perfect spirit. It's actually who you are. So we're going over to understanding an idea that there are two selves and they're at war, and how to cross the barrier between Let's put it this way. Why are you doing what you do and not able to come out of your loops? Because this body has habits. So it's a habitual doing. Let's just put that, habitual.
That's a good one.
Habitual doing. That's what this is. So you are not your habitual doings, what you do automatically. You're not this. Your goal is to come out of habitually doing things and consciously be who you are, so that your doings change. That's what we're doing. What you have in your life, as far as money, as far as relationships, as far as health, is there because of your habitual doings. But your habitual doings happen the way they happen because of what you keep in your mind. When you keep in your mind looking outside at the external circumstance and seeing how bad it is, well, that creates a center point for energy to flow around and create. And that's exactly what you are doing, is recreating a mindset, but you don't know it's a mindset that's making the doings. You believe you are your doings. That's the issue. That's the issue. So you are your doings in your mind. When you are your doings, you don't even know that you have a mind. You're lost in what you do. And you believe that what you do is who you are. And that means you're lost in your thought. Because thoughts and doings are matched up. So you're lost in believing you are your thinking and doing. When truthfully, you are the one, the perfect form and perfect spirit, dwelling in the body with the intention of cleansing it. That's what you are. You are actually the Savior. Christ is known as a Messiah. You are the Savior to this habitual, possessed person that is your physical body, your physical person. This is where all of the correction has to go on in your body. So you're in these bodies to make corrections on them. To make corrections in your spirit, in your mind. Exactly. See, we always say the same thing. Everybody's pretty much, if you get it, you get it. It's the same thing. This is just a biblical way of explaining that. The Bible is an incredible book of analogy. So when you see the Christ figure, if you now read the Bible, wherever it says Christ, understand it's talking about who you are. That's who's speaking. Is the perfect one from the inside. Who Christ is talking to are the mind of the people, of the many. It's talking to your external mind. It's talking to your conscious mind. It's talking to the mind that's connected to physical reality. Every disciple is a part of the mind that's connected to physical reality. Every sinner and person that Jesus healed, all external. All Christ would do is say, do you have faith? If they had faith, meaning their mind was aligned with who they truly were, then they were healed. Those black spots of your life transform and go away. But you are saying our purpose is we are Christ and we are here to correct our own behavior. Yes. So imagine this is what's going on. Here you are in your body, feeling, you know that you are this, you can feel it inside, but why can't you do it? Why can't you do exactly what you want to do? Why can't you get your relationships exactly how you want it? Why can't you get the feelings you want all the time? Why can't you create exactly what you're asking for? Why can't you create the global change that you want? Why can't you make these things happen is the question, right? And the answer to that is you have habitual doings that disallow it. You want to. In your mind, you want to. But the problem is you have a block. And the blocks are your habitual doings, what you habitually do. And so you have to save yourself from yourself. You actually have to save yourself from doing these habitual things by replacing what you habitually do with who you consciously are. That inspires thoughts and actions, and then you end up doing who you in alignment with who you really are. That's the story of Christ saving you. So, and this is the reason I'm using biblical understanding, is because if you read the book, it's a code that can be understood in the context of other verses. There's no other book that does that. Exactly. It's just a different point of view, but we both look at the same thing. Anybody who wants to look can see. This is what's beautiful about the Bible. This is what's beautiful about actually knowing it directly versus only knowing the story that's told in this book. The story that's told in this book, the Bible, is designed to get you to see an internal process. Okay? You are the son or the only begotten essence of God. No other form of God exists except perfect form, perfect spirit. That is your I am. It's who you are, really. It's the only one that exists. But everything else comes from that same source. I make alive, I wound, I heal. But this is mankind. Mankind is this Christ. But they don't know that. They've forgotten it. And the atonement, which is to merge together and make whole again, is for this outside habitual doing to realize I'm not a habitual doing. That is when this person dies on the cross and gives birth to the Christ. That's when this one dies and Christ is born. That means your inside self, you become aware of it. Now, I had being baptized. This is my understanding of baptism from direct experience and what I've understood from other people. In baptism, there's supposed to be a transformation that takes place. Now, when I was at church, I would watch people go under the water and come up exactly the same. Okay, they would go outside and do the exact same thing. So I knew that there was no difference between in the water, up the water. And now, when you have an experience where you get taken into your truest self, there is no denying that all you're made of is love and light, and that's all that exists, and that's God, and it's you. That's what you know for sure. Then guess what happens? You come back in your body after that experience, and you walk around knowing who you are as man, and that's Christ. So it's a bunch of Christs walking around. People who have had this experience, and you are that Christ walking around. But some people have cleared out the identity of habitual doing so much so that it doesn't even look like it exists. It don't even seem like they are human. What they are not is identified with their doings and identified with their mind. That's it. They're just not identified with those things. So now they can freely flow from who they really are outside. So this is the cleansing process. It's born into sin, this physical body, but who you really are has come into this physical body of yours to cleanse it from its sin, from its missing the mark. And then it gets saved. What that means is you get to keep your identity and rise up into bliss and feel and know the experience is really happening. You get to be in your body while in heaven. That means you get to experience heaven is what that means. Without a physical body, you can't experience anything. We are in the realm of experience. That's why we get to experience life in such intensity and depression in such intensity. Because we are in the bodies of experience. That's what we came here for. So when you let Christ, which is just your perfect form, perfect experience, who you actually are, be who you are in the body, rather than thinking that your past and future, then the past and future become irrelevant. And it gets, because it's getting replaced with who you really are. I've never been anything I did in the past or the future. Those become irrelevant. That's what it means to wash your sins away. And it's irrelevant. That's what it means. It means once I know who I am, these things, the effects of these things disappear and reverse. Yes, I have to pay, I have to purge, I have to fast, I have to detox. Yeah, that takes some time, but it's happening. That's when you start to go through pain. That's when you start to break up with your friends. That's when you start to change your mind. That's when you start to read more. That's when you start to become strange to the other people. That's when you start being called a devil or a witch or whatever. That's when you start getting those kind of comments from people. Once you start getting those comments, it's because you're purging them from your life. You're a different person. You're a different being. You now know who you are from some experience you had. Okay, now you are this walking in a physical body. All right, you are this walking in a physical body. But you know that you are not the body. So anytime that you want to sin, or anytime you want to fall into cravings, instant gratification, reactiveness, just know, yep, I am in reactiveness, but the part of me that is in reactiveness is not me. I'm here to cleanse that. I'm here to make the correction in that. So I'm going to press into the divine one that I am. And what's going to happen is, here's what I noticed happen. Me and Alicia talked about this last night. For whatever reason, it makes it easier for you to focus on the thoughts that matter. The thoughts that are opposite to the way you're thinking now, but are absolutely the solution. This is when you can start saving money. This is when you can start actually keeping your temper down. This is when you can start really balancing your emotions. This is when you can start thinking clearly. This is when you can now do things that you used to procrastinate on. All of a sudden, you had a capability to do those things. Where did that come from? It came from you leaving behind what you thought you were, which is a habitual doing, and pressing into who you actually are, which is this. You just recognize who you are. I'm not the habitual doings that I don't want to do. That way you don't guilt yourself. You don't blame yourself. You don't bash yourself. Because if you bash yourself, all you're doing is participating in more habits of bashing yourself. It's another habit. So you got lost in a habitual doing again. All you're doing is recognizing the habitual doing and say, oh, I'm not the habitual doing or the habitual thoughts. I am the one here to cleanse these. How? By simply being who I am and recognizing who I'm not. That's it. In every situation, the right actions will come up if you recognize who you are, perfect form and perfect spirit, and that the name of that is I am, and who you are not, a habitual doing. This is the story of Christ. Am I a pastor? That's a good question. That's a very good question. I damn near might as well be, okay? I might as well be. But I'm not officially, no.
That's so funny.
I'm not a pastor. I don't have any credentials. Well, I got a ministry thing I did online once. They just gave it to me basically for free for no credentials. Okay, so that's what I did. I just typed in my stuff. But the point, I think that's a good point, because this is not from me going to that school. It would have confused me if I went to seminary.
Yeah.
I would have been confused if I would have went to seminary or Bible school. I would have been confused. I just remember going to church and asking questions that couldn't be reconciled. But I didn't take that as a bad thing. I'm like, well, they just don't know, and I need to figure it out. That was how I felt about it. Spoke to God about breaking from habitual patterns, thoughts, etc. yesterday. Good. So now you know how to do it. Now you know how to do it. In Bible school, I went to Bible school, but you got to understand, I was blessed with whatever warrior mentality I have. Like, there's just this defiant mentality. I'm defiant. And I remember being young, knowing I destroyed and defied things. I defied reality. I went against stuff. And I'm so grateful that I went against the thoughts, because I was like, this doesn't make sense. I was 12 years old, 8 years old. This don't make sense. I need this to make sense. And I think it's because really it's a spiritual thing. I just wanted to know the real answer. And they weren't giving them to me. So I needed them. Reminds me of Romans. You got to remind me of what Romans says. There. It teaches theology. That's interesting. Ooh, okay. So you got an interesting experience, because you get to see a lot of different people studying seminary and hear their thoughts. That would be interesting, just to be around people and talk to them about that. I couldn't do it because I would be confused. This here though, this has been cooking up in my spirit. Clarity of it been cooking up in my spirit for a while, because I started reading people like this guy. I started reading people like him. Neville Goddard. Neville Goddard is not God. Okay? But I don't listen to everything he says. I have my own thoughts. But I learn from the greats. And I start with the baseline of their thoughts, and then I build from there. So it's a shortcut. That makes sense why you're interested in this. I would be interested too. maybe that wasn't an accident that you are set up right next door to a university that teaches this. It might not be an accident. Yeah, I can do a recap. Simply put, when we talk about mystical Bible, the mystical Bible understands this basic concept. The Christ figure in the Bible is actually, when you say I am, it's the light. It's the perfect form and perfect spirit in you. It's actually who you are. It's not just in you. It's who you actually are, but for God. Because there's this barrier or curtain here. And then you are in a body, but there's a curtain here that makes you forget who you are. So you end up thinking that you are your habitual doings. That's what the body is a habitual doing. This is basically sin. It's missing the mark or missing the point of who you actually are. And in your mind that merges who you really are to this body, these spots of these thoughts that cause the habitual doings to happen are located in your mind. Your job is to be the Messiah or Savior to these habitual doings, to save this person from these habitual doings. You have to get into the body and be who you are. How do you do that? Recognize you are not habitual doings and not habitual thoughts. If you know you're not that, you just remain who you are and you start to transmute and transform these habitual doings into illuminated action. And that's this, you save this one from feeling misery. This is where feeling goes on. When you feel things, you are feeling things because you have a body. That body is suffering because it's thinking the habitual thoughts that it doesn't want to think, making it habitually do things it doesn't want to do. So it's trapped. It's burning in a cycle of hell. So you have come in to save this body from experiencing this consistent hell it's in by introducing the light, which is who you are. Oh, how do you do that? One more time. You just remember you're not a habitual doing and you are not the habitual thoughts. By just knowing that, you introduce who you are into the equation. Okay? That's basically the mystical Bible. So now, when you go into read the Bible, when you go to read this book now, you can turn to any page. Let's just read one from, let's just go to one and read what it says. Read something Jesus said. And you'll understand, oh, this is how this works. Okay, so Jesus said, I'm just going to a random page. It says, Jesus, as they were walking along, someone said to Jesus, I will follow you no matter where you go. So that is some habitual doing. That's what's personified by this person. Some habitual doing in you is the person who's saying this to Jesus. I'll follow you. He's saying, I'll follow you. I'll follow you. This habitual doing. I'm habitually making bunches of money in this situation. Just habitually. And he said, Jesus replied, foxes have dens to live in, and birds have nests. But I, the Son of Man, have no home of my own, not even a place to lay my head. Now, why would it give itself that description? Does an I amness, does a perfect form or spirit have a place to lay his head in the physical world? No. It's not the body. So it doesn't have a place to lay his head. Okay? He said to another person. Now, just realize that simple mystery right there. Why would he say that? I'm sure he goes to sleep in a physical body. So why would Jesus say, but I, the Son of Man, have no home of my own and not even a place to lay my head? He went to sleep physically. We know that. So this is not talking about a physical existence. But it does make sense if you realize the spirit that I am doesn't have a place to lay its head because it doesn't go to sleep. It doesn't have that. That we just pulled to a random verse and deciphered it based on a mystical understanding. Did y'all just see that? So this is the point. Go back and read the Bible with this understanding, and you could be reading a totally different book. This is how I read the Bible that makes it exciting and alive to me, because I can really get with that. All right, let's read another one. The man agreed, but he said, Lord, first let me return home and bury my father. Jesus replied, let those who are spiritually dead care for their own dead. Your duty is to go and preach the coming of the kingdom. What just happened? He said, some part of him said, let me go manage and help other parts of me continue to do their habits. See, every person here is just a block or a sinful pattern. Okay, he said, let me go help my other sinful patterns. Let me go help my patterns that don't really resonate with who I really am. Let me go do these patterns that I don't even want to do. Let me help them first. He said, let those habits take care of themselves. You need to just be who you are and realize you are not those habits. Stop trying to go fix everything. Just be who you are. That's what it's saying here. Now, if you read the Bible like that, now it's exciting. No conspiracy theories. No conspiracy theories. No extra words. No confusion. Just simply this. We don't need to know what's going on in the world. I don't need to update you on the news of the world. See, I made a point not to delve into that. I know some other people who are online, who are in the spiritual space, who got a lot of following. They get involved in a lot of what's going on in the world. They get involved in what's habitually happening in the world. It's habitually wars. It's habitually money problems. It's habitually negative stuff going on. It's habitually everything going on. That's just already happening. Why would I give my attention there? It's always happening in a different form. What my job is to introduce who I really am to the body, which will introduce that light that who I am through the world, through the brain and heart connection. That's my job. And now I can change it. So now I'm on TikTok. Here I am, beaming out the light into your consciousness, doing exactly what I say I want to do and not worried about anything going on in the world. Is this more helpful than talking about something going on in the world? Probably. But do you get recognized for that? Yeah, you get recognized for it eventually. But it's not about being recognized for that. It's about this is what needs to be done. So since it needs to be done, God sent me to do it because I can see it, so I'm going to do it. Now I'm beaming light out because I'm irrelevant of anything else. I just want to beam the light out. I just want miracles. I don't want all the facts of the world. I want the miracles. I want unbelievable circumstances. I want miraculous circumstances. I want life change, transformation. I want to be the anomaly that feels good all the time, that doesn't participate in depressions or recessions of any kind, who just goes forward and beams the light. That's who I want to be. This is this person. That's this essence. It's perfect form, perfect spirit. This is who I am. This is who you are. So how to recognize the spirit? Recognize the spirit by recognizing who you are not. That's the shortcut. And for a beginner, when you start off on this path, the first thing to do is not try to look at spirit. Just realize who you are not. I am not a habitual doer. So look at yourself when you do something habitually and just go, I'm not this habitual action. I'm not this habitual body. And then the thoughts that are in your mind. If you've thought that thought more than 3 times, say, I'm not habitual thoughts, so this must not be me. That's the way to start the process. Because what it does is it puts space between you and the thought. You are no longer lost in the thought. You have space, which means you are more spirit than thought now. So when you realize you're not a thought, you separate yourself from this and you step back and it becomes more spirit than thought because you create a separation. That's how you create more spirit in your life. See, this is very simple. Do you think we need to do some of this habitual doing in order to survive? No, you do not. You do not have to do any habitual doing. Habits, habitual anything that's unconscious is it's unnecessary. You don't even need it. It's in the way. You could have everything create even better if you weren't doing that habit. Any habit that's habitual, it just falls away because you are being So that being is in the moment, and in the moment might call for anything. Who knows what it calls for? You have to actually be present in the moment to respond to what's here. So in order to do that, you can't be habitual. If you're habitual, you just go do something. Now, you do develop habits, but the habits are habits of consciousness, habits of mind. You see what I mean? Do you think I think this verse from the Bible strongly relates to what you talk about. You got to show me when you see that. So getting up and going to work every day isn't that. Right. So let's say it's 2 ways to get up and go to work. So let's say both days you'll go to work, but they happen in 2 different awarenesses. Let's talk about it. You get up, you go to work, and you come home and you don't even realize, like, wow, I just did the same thing. You don't think about it. It's just you just did it and now you're back home and you're scrolling TikTok. That's one day. The next day is you wake up and you know you're about to go to work again. And you wondering about why you're going to work. And you ask yourself, am I doing this on purpose? Is this on purpose? Did I choose this life? And if the answer is no, you are now separating yourself from the habitual doing. Although you may go to work, you're doing it in a completely different awareness. That this is some habit I may not have chosen. So now you introduce the light, which starts to change this habitual thought of I gotta go to work, and maybe a business idea pops in. That's how businesses start. Unconscious autopilot is habitual doing. Romans 7:14. Let's just look for it.
Big facts.
Yeah. Romans 7:14. Let me read it. I just want to see. It says, the law is good then. The trouble is not with the law, but with me, because I am sold into slavery with the sin as my master. I don't understand myself at all, for I really want to do what is right, yes, but I don't do it. Instead, I do the very thing I hate. Exactly. That is exactly that verse. That's such a profound verse. I'm about to highlight that. That's exactly that verse, yes. It's exactly that. He's talking about, I'm in this body and I keep doing what I don't want to do. What is going on? He's like, what's happening? I want to do right, but I can't do it. It's the habitual doings and habitual thoughts. And it's that part of him that's speaking and pleading to the one that can save it, which is who you really are. So it's really talking to who you really are. That's what's happening. It's so beautiful. Which Romans verse? Sorry, it was Romans 7:14. Yes, this is so perfect. I'm highlighting this. So, yeah, this is it. But the reason why behind it is so beautiful. When you just look, this is the whole story. Every person in the Bible that is not the Christ is this. Everybody. Some are closer to Christ, and some are further away. But all of them are a part of the habitual doing, the body. Exactly. So the solution is to be present more and don't identify with your thoughts. Exactly that. That's simple. It's just simple.
Simply that.
But see how you came to that conclusion again? Maybe you had that conclusion before. But is it more clear now? Isn't it more clear? Like, yeah. Can you see it more clearly now? Yeah, this Romans 7:14, this is it. Romans 7:14 on out. That is it. That's explaining this perfectly. Thank you for that. Wow, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I remember reading this recently too. And I'm going to go back and study that because that's exactly this. That's actually where this was inspired from. I can feel it. What are your favorite or most important books to me? That's a good question. Because I would say Thomas Trower, Edinburgh Lectures on Mental Science and all his writings. Definitely most important. Neville is probably most important. Neville Goddard, this guy, probably one of the most important. Another really important one that's been more important to me recently is the Bhagavad Gita by Stephen Mitchell. Also, the Tao Te Ching, the Tao Te Ching. This one is super important. And those are like the core. That's the core. And then also Think and Grow Rich and Law of Success in 16 Lessons, actually. That's really important too. Those are, I don't go to those often, but when I do, it's like, wow, this was right the whole time. So those the combination of those, powerful. Good. You don't feel preached that. Good. Good. The whole point is teaching. Because if it can be taught, think about it. If something can be taught, why argue? There is no argument. It can be taught. What's your question? Is all it is. And then let's answer that question fully. Totally and completely to your satisfaction. That's all it is. That's all it is. And what makes sense is a way it makes sense. And if you look, you can find it. And everybody finds the same thing. Even if it's from different perspectives, we all looking at that same spot. Thank you. Excuse me. Yes, y'all. So this is the understanding. This is the understanding. So when you understand this is who you are, then read the Bible. Then it's like, oh my God, this makes so much. Everything starts to make sense. And then when I say everything, the way the universe is working and what the Bible is trying to say becomes clear. You become more clear on the text than a person who studied for years the text. Like Wes Huff. So anybody know Wes Huff and Billy Carson's arguments? Have y'all seen them talk about the Bible?
What was I? I've never heard that name.
Billy Carson and Wes Huff, they argued over the Bible a little while back. You end up knowing, but as you keep going, you realize that realization is good. When you realize I'm reading this wrong, that's good because then you can start looking for the answer. That's when it starts. When you read it, it's like, I'm reading this wrong. Yes, the Bible is an autobiography. Yes. That's such a good way to say it. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. That's so funny. Yes, it's an autobiography of you. Oh my God, that was such a good way to say that. That was so good. I'm like, so satisfied with that. It's exactly what this is. When you read the Bible, it's an autobiography. It's a story of yourself by yourself. You are telling your own story back to you. That's what the book is. It's beautiful. It's like, I wrote this to myself. It's me. Oh my God. And that's when everything starts. Wow. Yeah, of course. But that's the forces of sin. They are acting with one of these tikkun, one of these challenges, these habitual doings. They don't want to be mean. They don't want to be destructive. They just are. It's a habitual doing. And what will save it? Introducing who you really are through your brain and heart electromagnetic impulse that emits the light into their being, and they start to change. That's when people came into Jesus's presence, which is when you're in that presence. People change around you. They start changing. You will see it. You see it already. Your light shine, and people start changing when you come in a room. They start changing for the better when you come in a room. When you stay around, they get better. Everybody's energies rise. Everybody goes to higher levels when you come into the room and stay a while. That's just the transmission from who you know it and being who you really are, which is just knowing who you're really not. And it beams out, transforming these black spots into light conductors, and you start to emit light in 360-degree direction, and it cleanses the sin. It makes them do what they want to really do inside rather than what they habitually do. They change. Yes. Yes. Exactly that. Y'all catching it? Yes. Exactly that. Yes. Yes. So you are the perfect form and the perfect spirit, which is the light. It's just who you are in a body, cleansing it. In this moment, you're cleansing it. You are bringing the body out of habitual doing and thinking and into presence, because you're aware of the habitual thoughts and feelings and actions. And that means you are spaced. You have created space from them. You're observing them, which means you have created space from them, which makes space for Christ, who you really are. It's who you really are. Isn't that amazing? This is amazing. But this is all in the Bible. If you read the Bible now, you can read a totally different book. You read a totally different book.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. It's beautiful. And I've read the book like this for years at this point, and it feels better every time I read it. So I just really want to share that. That's why God said, let there be light, because we are original beings of light energy. Yes. 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 Let there be light. Let there be you. Let there be. And how do you let light be? You have to completely disappear and go dark so light can come. If there was no infinite dark background, there would be nowhere for the light to shine. That's this place we're in. It's infinite darkness. Everything that's lit up is lit up by light. The fact that you can see, touch, taste, smell, and hear, and this reality is built on photons, which are light particles, should tell you something. It's physically made of light, meaning that this whole universe is your physical body. When you know who you are. The light of the entire cosmos is your physical body. That's why you can think something here and it hits a person across the world and they FaceTime you because they just got the signal. You're connected by light everywhere at once. Yes. Yes. Look, message me directly. If you are one of these people who are ready to transmit your light to the world, then message me immediately. This is what our intention is in the world. Is not to talk about this concept, but to actually be the light that transforms people's lives. You can do that through a business. You can do that through a relationship. You can do that through raising a family. You can do that through any avenue. And all of it happens the same way. You are transmitting the light. Now, if somebody wants to know what you know, we also want to be the place that you can send them and say, hey, if you understand this, if you actually want to understand it, you can go here and he'll help you understand. We want to be that place too, a school. But what we really want is transformation. So you beam the light out in every arena. So like we said, we want that to be, if you're a baker, we want you to beam the light into your bakery and let it illuminate and grow. If you want to be a family, then I want you to beam it into your kids and your wife or your husband. If you want to be a business owner, I want you to beam it into your customers, your partners, the money that you invest. I want you to beam it everywhere. Because as you beam this light, as you be the light, the world transforms. It's not like things are going to go away. They just get better. They transform into better places. The people in them are happier and more illuminated when you come in the room. So we want to make this your fundamental place that you go. Okay? Good. I'm happy it's a different perspective. Most people who I just happen to have a Christian background. That's the interesting part. People who have this experience, a lot of them don't, they're just not Christians. So they don't have the language to explain the Christian way of explaining the same experience. But this is the experience I had directly. So it's real easy for me to communicate because I actually had the experience of just being this with none of this. I went totally back home. And then I came back to the body after that. And it was like, whoa. I know I'm no longer any of what I thought I was. That's when the physical transformation started to happen. That's being born again. It's a moment of realization that ended up happening.
That's the point.
Question, do you have the Bible app? Look up the verse in the Amplified version. Conflict of two natures right on the E chapter. I'll look it up. Yes. Yeah, I got a Christian background. That's where the explanation comes from. But I can't explain something I never experienced. The reason that I'm explaining is because the direct experience, which I know people who are Buddhists who had that experience, people who've never believed in any religion have that experience. And we had this conversation to go, yeah. Don't know anything about the Christ or anything. But they go, yeah, that's it. That's the experience right there. And everybody recognizes the experience. It's like, you'll never forget it. It's love. Exactly. So the words the word pagan or Christian or is Muslim or Gnostic or anything is irrelevant in comparison to the experience of the experience. It's like it's the same thing. So I'm not the story I'm telling about it. I'm the light that was introduced that has the story coming out. I'm the light of the whole experience. There we go. Some people use different words. Yes, exactly. It's the same thing. Words are just irrelevant, but the experience is the same. Everybody's experiencing the same thing. Interacting with family who are committed to traditional Christian fundamentalism. Once again, let the dead bury their own dead. That's what the verse would say. It's if somebody has their habitual doings, don't try to interrupt their habitual doings. Let them do their habitual doings. If they go to church habitually, think habitually about the tradition and they are there, let them be there. That's not your responsibility. Okay? That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to carry your own cross. What that means is you've died on the physical body as the perfect form of perfect spirit. That's who you are in this body. Just carry this body until you can transform this body. Carry the habitual burdens or thoughts or habitual doings and habitual feelings and habitual thoughts. Carry them by transmuting them. Recognize, oh, I'm not this habit. And then stay here. Know who you are in the middle. Even though you are doing what you don't want to do, you're not that habit. That's all you have to remember.
I already proved it. Just approved that comment. It just keeps doing random things.
I think they had me click it again. So yeah, you will waste time waiting for people to change. And it's really only thing that wants to go back and change them is a part of you that hasn't changed. That's really all the only part that want to go save them. If you really want to be real about it. It's just the part of you that hasn't changed. That's why they relate. That's why it's attracted to it. Law of attraction. When you want to go and save somebody, it's the unsaved part of you that wants to go save them. And then you two just go in a circle. And everybody just gets in a ball over here like, we have to save each other. And everybody's like, they're just totally blind and don't, like everybody just running in the back of each other like in one dark room. And then they just busting their head against each other like, oh. Like that's what's happening over here with everybody saving everybody. You do not need to save anybody. Just save yourself. That's all you need to do.
It's the dark room that got me.
Like that's the image that immediately popped up. It's funny. So welcome to church, whatever you want to call it.
Being Christ is love.
This is what I love. I love it. See, I could just do this every day. This carry into every conversation. Like you can pull up any verse, a scripture, and everything connects after that. Because it's not, you don't have to believe this. That's the thing about it. I love it. Belief is, anybody can believe anything. That's the thing about belief. Anybody can believe anything. But if you know the direct experience of this, and I'm speaking to the direct experience you have, and I'm telling you what you're experiencing, how is it possible for me to tell you what you're experiencing unless I've experienced it? How would I know? I'm not you, right? Right? We're all the same. So if I say something about you and it's resonate, it's because I've experienced the exact same thing. Okay? See? That's the whole goal. I just don't want to call it a church. And I won't call it a church because those words. We just got a community, a mastermind. Are you still practicing Buddhist? Asking because I'm searching and Buddhism seems to be resonating. Buddhism is a good practice because it teaches you to go directly to emptiness, which they call Atma or Christ or Brahma. It's all this. So when Buddha talks about end of suffering, what Buddha is talking about the end of suffering is the end of your fake self. It's end of you identifying with habitual doings and habitual thoughts. That's it. Once you end believing you are habitual doings and habitual thoughts, you simply are the light, perfect form, perfect spirit. It ends up being what you are. Have you studied many other religions before decoding Christianity before deciding? It's not that Christianity for me. I worship at every altar. Because like I just showed you, Taoism, it's a beautiful direction and pointer to this reality. Absolutely Bhagavad Gita and Hinduism.
Yeah.
Love Bhagavad Gita and Hinduism for the same thing. Okay. And the Bible, as y'all can see, Judaism and the Kabbalah, same thing. And where's that other one? I think it's upstairs. Gnostic Christianity, Islam, quantum mechanics and quantum physics, all same. All point to the exact same thing. All point to the exact same thing. We are not worshiping Buddha. Buddha means the enlightened one. Buddha just means I am. It's just speaking right about this again. The same one we all are. That's this. When you become this, when you realize this becomes a crystal that shines your unique light. So when you see what you see in me, you see in yourself. So when you say I'm a rare person, only you can see rarity unless you were rare. It's the only way. At the end, it's still pop. Exactly. It's the same. Spiritual gypsy. Look, this is what I love about it too. It's so many dynamic ways of expressing the same one. And I love every one of them because it's the same. Every one of the stories and the embellishments and the light around it and the colors around it, it's the same one. So I just love all of them. Like, I absolutely love the Bhagavad Gita. When Arjuna is talking to Krishna, Krishna is this. When in the Bhagavad Gita, it says, people who worship me fully become me and thus lose their desire to gain for themselves. It's talking about this. This is Krishna. It's a beautiful story of Krishna. So if you read the Bhagavad Gita and you hear about Krishna, it's all talking about this one experience. it's all talking about the one experience. The other one, the Kabbalah is pretty clear what it's talking about. I just love the Bhagavad Gita. And then, I forgot about this. Eckhart Tolle, Power Now in the New Earth, same thing. This is really probably one of the most modern direct instruction manuals to this.
No, Eckhart he's real.
He's miraculous.
He is real.
He's miraculous. This... Yeah, I wanted to see that movie, but I never got to see it. See, it was that kid on the boat with a tiger, right? I think it was, because I remember seeing the preview. I was like, oh my God, I want to see that so bad. Yeah, I knew I wanted to see that. So let's watch that today after we clean it up.
Yeah, let's.
I want to watch that.
We don't ever watch movies.
We don't, and I wanted to see that so bad.
I think I did. You said the tiger.
It's a tiger and a kid in a boat with a tiger.
It's like the tiger was under the things you didn't know or something?
No, he was on the boat. On the commercial, at least. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Anybody got any questions about this? I bet. I love movies that reveal this too. A lot of movies, y'all, you know The Matrix. Everybody know The Matrix. This is The Matrix. You're Neo. It's the same thing. This is a great live. Yeah, so look, if y'all not in a community already, mastermind, this is what we not only talk about, but what we embody. We tend to embody in the teachings. That's what we do. That's what we do. If you want to bring the light to the world and be the light, and you know you are the light, if that's your goal, that's what you want, this is for you. That's what we do. Everybody does a different thing. Exactly. We all this because it's only perfect form, perfect spirit. That's who you are, is Christ. So you would say Gemini Christ. Rather than Jesus Christ, it would be Gemini Christ. Mine is Josh Christ. Leisha's is Leisha Christ. It's you replace Jesus' name with yours and put it there because this is who you really are. You see? It's you. All right, y'all. I'm hopping off here. Hopefully y'all enjoyed that. I enjoyed it. Yes, I'm happy y'all here too. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of this content on my regular post too. So that's the direction I'm going because of the teachings. I'm learning teaching is the superpower. So that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, for sure. I love y'all.